So when they took the tube out and the machine's not breathing for me, all of a sudden I'm not breathing anymore. And I tried the new age stuff. I tried the witchcraft, the tarot cards, all of that.
When you woke up, what did they explain went wrong?
Ruslan.
You talk about when you went in to do the surgery and what led up to that.
Yeah.
And what happened in that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I struggled so much with my body, dysphoria. It sucked. I felt like I could never go swimming, or I could never go to like the beach or do anything
even
fun.
Though you're on testosterone.
Even though I was on
even though
testosterone.
You're jacked at this point,
Yeah.
and you're super fit.
Yeah, because I still had breasts, I mean, could I maybe pass if I took my shirt off? Yeah, but there's still this personal uncomfortability that I had. And my family was like, again, we don't agree, but if you're going to do this, go to the best of the best. Don't get a botched surgery. So I went to the guy that invented top surgery in Florida. And they don't take insurance, like you have to pay cash. And so I paid $10,000 cash for my surgery.
Jeez.
And it wasn't like I put it on a credit card, like I paid cash for this.
Yeah.
And as I went in, the average amount of like length of the surgery is anywhere from like 4 to 8 hours. But because this guy invented the surgery, he literally does 3 to 5 a day. So he can get this done within 2 hours a person. I was in there for the length of almost 10 hours in this surgery. It was during COVID. And so my husband had COVID. He couldn't fly out with me. So I had my stepmom there. Now everyone's kind of freaking out, like what's going on? So the hospital told the surgeon to leave the building because he's done so many surgeries, never had a death on his record, and they thought that I would be the first. So they said that the surgery went great. It went well. But the minute that they extubated me, I no longer wanted to breathe.
What is excavated?
So they intubate you when they put the tube down.
Okay, when they taking the tube out.
Yeah. So when they took the tube out and the machine's not breathing for me, all of a sudden I'm not breathing anymore. And so I woke up coughing up blood. I was connected to all these machines. I'm all like doped up, on these pain meds. And it was scary. I had no idea what was happening. They told me, we don't think you're ever going to have the ability to fully breathe again. They're like, we had to tell the surgeon to leave because we were afraid that you were going to lose your life. And I'm like, first of all, that's a red flag. How many other people has this happened to, and they just told him to leave. But basically they gave me this device where you like suck into it to see your lung capacity. It has like 3 balls in it that goes up and down. I thought they were joking with me because I was trying as hard as I could to like blow into this thing. Not one of them was moving. And that's when I'm like, oh man, this is like actually serious. And so I was just praying and repenting, like, God, like, please let me have my full lung, capacity back and everything. Thankfully it did come back. But it was a surgery that I knew that I was going to threaten my like life to finally feel comfortable. And I'm not going to lie, at the time, like once I healed up and I went to the beach and went on my honeymoon and all these things, yeah, I felt a lot more confident than I ever imagined. But never in my life did I ever imagine I could honestly say now that I absolutely regret getting top surgery.
Sounds like you almost died.
Yeah, I did.
Wow. And you said average surgery for this doctor is 2 hours.
Yes.
Yours went almost 10 hours. Clearly there's sounds like there's something happening in the spiritual because you've kind of always maintained a connection with the Lord throughout this entire process. When you woke up, what did they explain went wrong? Like if he does 2 or 3 a day and it's like, hey, get out of here because you might have a death on your record and they're thinking you could die.
Yeah. They by the way, they still won't even give me my medical records, and that's my legal right to get them. So I'm going to have to even reach out and get a lawyer to get my medical records.
Really?
Because I need to know what they gave me. If I get in a car accident, what if it was just a bad reaction to the anesthesia? Or, honestly, it could have been spiritual as well. I need to know what I was given. That way, if anything happens, my husband knows, like, hey, if there's a car accident, like, she can't have this or don't give her that. So it's really scary. I've been trying for over 2 years now to get those medical records.
And what do they say when you ask?
They keep ignoring me. They'll hang up the phone on me. They'll say no one's in. I'm like, I've sent emails. I've texted. Like, I need this information. I've even called the actual surgeon himself. Nothing. So I don't know if it's because, my testimony's out there. I don't know if they think that I'm trying to sue. It's literally not that. I just want to know, what I was given so I have that. Yeah, I have that information.
Wow. That's crazy. So the top surgery came after you were already married. Okay, so you got to tell me how did that come about? Because I got to meet your husband and your baby, which amazing, beautiful
Thank
family.
you.
So walk me through that, because he shared some of his story on Michael Knowles' channel.
Yes.
And he thought he was dating a man because he identified as gay at the time.
Yes.
And you're like, no, but I have woman parts.
Yeah.
So walk me through that.
Yes. So prior to me meeting my husband, that's why I was just telling you before we filmed, like, it was so special being in Big Bear because I had so many falling on my face moments with the Lord. And I had this special doc that I would go to just cry out to God, pray, just laugh with God. And I went to this doc and I would go there daily, like even during work or whatever. And I went to this doc this one time, maybe about a week before I met my husband. And it was different. Like, something about this moment was different. Like, I knew I was going to encounter God. I knew I was going to lay something at his feet. I walk to the end of this dock and I fall on my knees and I just say, Lord, I know you now. Because I was born again at 17. I rededicated my life at 17 after 3 attempts, just super depressed. This girl from high school kept inviting me to a youth group, finally said yes. I went and, like, they were taking off their shoes and it wasn't even Pentecostal. I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, why are they taking their shoes off? And she's like, well, what do you do when you get home? And I'm like, well, I take my shoes off. And she's like, well, welcome home. And it was so prophetic to me.
And this is in Big Bear?
This is actually Marietta before I was a junior in high school.
Okay.
And so I see these kids just really going after the Lord. And I tried the New Age stuff. I tried the witchcraft, the tarot cards, all of that. Got nothing from it. Was really angry at God through everything that I went through. And I think I grew up knowing of Jesus, not having a true, authentic relationship with him. I just saw a lot of religion in my family. And so I saw these kids really going after the Lord. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know what they have, but I know that I want it. And so I rededicated my life at 17. So back to this doc moment, I'm like, God, I've been walking with you since I'm 17.
Despite the feelings of dysphoria.
Yes.
I'm saying the right word correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. Despite the feelings of dysphoria, despite struggling in multiple ways, attempting to take your own life.
Yeah.
You still have this encounter with Jesus.
Yes, absolutely.
And you're like, hey, like, I'm walking with you. And is it kind of like, from your standpoint, we'll sort this stuff out later in terms of gender identity, in terms of these things? Like,
I bought into the lie of like, God made me this way.
Okay, so you're like, I'm Team Jesus.
Yeah.
But Jesus made me this way.
Yeah, I was really bought into that deception and that lie. But on that journey of being 17, like, God was still removing things. God doesn't say, come into invite me in and then get it all cleaned up. He's like, no, come in now.
Yeah, that's good.
But God loves us enough to not let us stay as we are. He wants the best and the fullest for us. So God removed like years of a hidden portion that no one knew about. I was like really drowning myself in alcohol and just smoking and different drugs to try and drown out the pain that I was looking to try and heal with the world's ways. And so it's not like God wasn't removing things. It's like, the Lord wants to bless us and heal us from things, but we have to let go. We have to be ready to release that to him. And so I walk to the end of this dock and I'm like, Lord, I know you now. I don't want to hear it from some guy holding up a sign saying I'm going to hell. I know you. So God, if me identifying, at the time I was only dating women. So I'm like, if me dating a woman, I wasn't ready to lay down my identity because, again, I bought into the lie, but I kept having this conviction about my sexuality. I was only sleeping with women, only dating women. I'm like, God, you have the power to change me. I love the Gospel of John. I love seeing the miracles of Jesus. And I'm like, Lord, I know you have the power to change me. So if this life that I'm living is not glorifying unto you, it is not your will, then change me. Like, make me sexually attracted to a man, emotionally, physically, all the things. Like, you have the power to do that. Now, when I said this, knowing I went through a bunch of sexual trauma, this was hard. I can never imagine myself ever feeling like I could trust myself with a man. But I was just like, God, take away my desire for whatever you have, for your desires upon my life. And I remember crying and just laying on my face, just weeping. And I got up and I just pointed at the sky and I'm like, God, you promised to wow me. Because at one point when I was 17, the Lord said, one day I'm really going to wow you. I said, God, radically, like, where's my wow? Where's my wow? Radically change me. And then next thing you know, a week later, I walk into a coffee shop and the love of my life walks in, who happens to be a man. And we just, from there, crazy thing, he graduated high school, moved to Kauai, and was totally into the New Age hippie thing. He grew up Lutheran, so he grew up with a lot of religion, not relationship. And he went and did his own thing, smoking weed on a weed farm in Hawaii, doing his own thing. And he just felt the Lord drawing him back home to Big Bear. And so he walks in and he's like, I don't know why I'm in here. I know the coffee shop's closing, but like the Spirit led me here to just play the piano. And I'm like, oh, the Spirit, why don't you sit down so we could talk about the Holy Spirit? And so our first time that we encountered each other, we were actually talking about like the gift of tongues and just like having our own private conversation with God. Like we just went deep, you know?
I actually think I know the coffee shop. There's a coffee shop with a piano in it.
Yeah, Moonridge Coffee. Yeah.
What a trip. All right, guys, we're going to go over to our Patreon exclusive segment with my friend Lex. We're just going to talk about some stuff that's probably a little too spicy for YouTube. Perhaps it's a little more personal. So if you want to sign up for a free 7-day trial, meet us over there. You'll see the entire conversation unedited, as well as the extended version on Patreon, and get access to our future conversations as they're streaming live on Patreon, access to our guests, all that kind of good stuff. Here's a little preview of what you can expect in the Patreon only segment. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.
She would grab my wrist and tell me exactly how she wanted me to myself and tell me, just yourself already. You're already going to go to hell. You're such an abomination to this family. They call it spirits for a reason. It was demonic. It was a demon that knew the plan that God had for my life.
She was in jail for hit and run and abusing you. That you did find a strong correlation of people who have experienced SA.
Like, we never even imagined our life to be like this. We already noticed that within people within our friend group.
Tell me what your opinion is on pronoun hospitality.
I wish I could say that we're closer, but they don't like the fact that I'm telling the truth.
Ruslan